Welcome to the podcast for and about Colorado Springs. I'm your host, Brittany Felix, and every Monday through Friday I'll be talking about a different aspect relating to the Springs, including upcoming events, restaurant reviews, local business spotlights, media coverage about the Springs, public works projects, local activities, answering your questions about the city, and much, much more. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any of the updates. And also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find links to all of those social media accounts at springspodcast.com/social media. The Colorado Springs podcast is proudly sponsored by Elevation Hydration. Elevation Hydration is the only hydration therapy clinic serving Colorado Springs, and they are dedicated to helping you elevate your life. They use intravenous vitamin therapy to help athletes needing a boost of energy or help recovering after a tough competition, people experiencing cold-like symptoms or dehydration from the flu, anyone needing to recover quickly from a rough night out. I'm looking at you, college kids. And just anyone wanting a healthy alternative to preventative care. They have a wide variety of hydration packages to help address whatever your needs are. They're conveniently located inside Lush Beauty Lounge at 812 Village Center Drive, and if you mention this podcast during your visit, you'll receive $10 off any hydration package. To learn more about Elevation Hydration or to schedule an appointment, visit springspodcast.com/hydrate. Welcome to episode 14 of the Colorado Springs podcast. Today is Thursday, so that means it is time for another restaurant review. This week's restaurant is Sunbird Mountain Grill and Tavern. The Sunbird is located at 230 Point of the Pines Drive. It is just across from the University Village Shopping Center. If you're heading north on I-25, it's right across from Costco and Kohl's, Lowe's, that area right there. You can't miss it. I'm sure you know where it's at, up on the hill. We actually went to the Sunbird in December, and we went because it was my sister-in-law's birthday, and they were getting ready to head out of town for Christmas, and we were watching their dog, and she just wanted to take us out for, a decent dinner to thank us and to celebrate her birthday. They've lived in the Springs since October of 2015, and they had actually never been to the Sunbird either, so it was a first-time experience for all four of us. And the first impression of it is that it is kind of tricky to get to if you've never been. And especially if you're going up at night for the first time, you have to wind up this hill and go through a neighborhood, and then it kind of dead ends in the parking lot for the restaurant. And now there are signs, of course, to guide you, but if you miss those signs, or if you aren't paying attention because you think you've made a wrong turn, it is very easy to think that you are not going the right direction. But you are. Just make your way through the little neighborhood and you'll be there. And the outside is gorgeous. Great atmosphere, really sets the tone of the place. They've got little waterfalls, fountains, ponds, bridges you can walk over. It was, all lit up with lights. It was very pretty. And when you walk inside, it kind of carries that theme over. Very elegant, and also with still kind of a little bit of a rustic charm to it, which I like. I love that balance of being elegant and classy, but not stuffy. And they did actually end up seating us in the bar area, which I wasn't too crazy about. Especially considering we ended up being sat next to a table of about 15 very loud, very obnoxious, very inconsiderate, and intoxicated group of people who were clearly there celebrating some type of a holiday dinner get-together, opening packages, screaming. It was very difficult for the four of us to have a conversation. We could hardly hear each other over the literal screaming and shouting of the people at the table next to us. And that honestly didn't leave us with a very good impression of the place because no one from the staff, one, ever apologized for the inconvenience. No one ever offered to sit us in the other area of the restaurant where it wouldn't have been nearly as loud, even though we had made a reservation. So it wasn't like we had just walked into the last minute and they, stuck us wherever they could. And no one also said anything to the group about them quieting down and keeping the other patrons in mind. So I was very disappointed with that fact. And our waitress was very pleasant for the most part. She was very nice. Not the most attentive. We did have to wait a little while for drink refills and things like that, which is one of my biggest pet peeves when I'm at a restaurant. But again, a friendly face, friendly smile, friendly banter does go a long way with me. I will, take that and slower service over speedy service and someone who's a jerk any day. So to get to the food, I actually ordered the baby back ribs. I got a half rack, of course, because there's no way in the world I could ever eat a full rack of ribs. Can't even eat a half rack. And I have to say that if I weren't so picky, I probably would have really enjoyed them. However, I am very picky, especially when it comes to barbecue sauce. And they actually use their own house-made brown sugar barbecue sauce, which sounded amazing. I generally love sweeter barbecue sauces, but I just was not a fan of the sauce that they used. And again, this isn't anything on them. I generally tend not to like barbecue sauces, actually. More often than not, when I try a new sauce at a restaurant, I don't like it. So if you are not quite as picky about your barbecue sauces, the ribs could, be a way to go for you. They were cooked wonderfully. I mean, it literally was just the flavor of the sauce that I didn't enjoy. And they came with the Sunbird smashed potatoes, which, oh my gosh, those were so good. Now, I am a potato freak anyways. I love potatoes just about any way that you fix them. But, oh my gosh, these were so amazing. I could have absolutely had just a big old plate full of potatoes and been perfectly content. And my husband ended up getting the bison burger, which I ended up being very jealous that I did not get because it looked amazing and I actually had some of it and it was delicious. And if you listen to my restaurant review for Bingo Burger, you know that I am a sucker for bacon-flavored things. Bingo Burger has, a bacon mayonnaise, and the bison burger at Sunbird has a bacon aioli. And my husband actually also ended up getting the bison chili and cornbread combo. I'm not a huge chili person, so I'm not the best person to judge that. It was good to me. It was something that I would eat. The cornbread, however, before I say anything, I need to preface this with a reminder that I am from Indiana, the land of corn. I grew up eating corn in every single form. Cornbread is my favorite form of that. And it's actually very rare that I come across cornbread that I don't like. But I have to say that the cornbread at the Sunbird was probably my least favorite cornbread that I think I've had anywhere. It was just incredibly bland. It did not have hardly any flavor whatsoever. Now, my husband thought it was okay. He didn't think it was anything special, but he did think it was okay. And the good thing about it is, if you do like the flavor of it, this is the largest freaking serving of cornbread I have ever seen in my entire life. I am only very slightly exaggerating when I say this piece of cornbread was the size of my face. So you do get a lot for your money, which I love. I think that's great. I just wasn't a fan of the taste of it. And so speaking of money, to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, my half rack of ribs with some seasonal vegetables and the Sunbird smashed potatoes was $17. And my husband's bison burger, which also came with a side of fries, was $18. And speaking of the fries, I already said I love potatoes. My favorite kind of fries are those ones that are just so crisp and crunchy, but they're still really soft on the inside. So they're not burnt by any means, but they've just got that great batter where they are just so perfectly crispy. And they were so delicious. So the next time we go there, it will absolutely be a struggle for me to decide which type of potatoes I'm going to have. And obviously I did say the next time we go, which means that we do plan on going back at some point. I do realize and understand that there is not going to be a table of 15 obnoxious, annoying, rude, inconsiderate people next to me every time we go to the restaurant. That was very obviously just a coincidence, bad timing. So I would like to go back and experience it when things are a little more calm and I can actually hear the people that I am eating dinner with and enjoy my surroundings instead of wanting to scream at the top of my lungs for people to be quiet. Given the atmosphere and the price, I think that this is a great place to go to celebrate birthdays or anniversaries or anything like that, especially if you're on a bit of a budget. If you are on a budget, obviously this is not a place you're going to eat at very often, but I think it's that great mid-level restaurant. It's nicer than if you go out to, just a regular Mexican restaurant, but it's not quite so expensive that you're going to really feel like you're extending your budget to go there every so often as a special treat. And it is up on the hill, so there are great views of the city, and they do have some outdoor areas you can sit in, and I've also been told that in the warmer months they have games outside. So as far as whether or not I would recommend this restaurant, I would say yes, definitely. The food we had was good, with the exception of the things that I didn't like just because of the taste, and the cornbread was a bit of a disappointment, but everything else was great. My sister-in-law and her fiance really enjoyed their food as well. And the atmosphere and overall ambiance of the place is pleasant, for sure. So I will have links to the Sunbird's website in my show notes on my website, and there'll also be a link in there to the menu so that you can check out the rest of it. They have a large selection of alcoholic beverages, other burgers and entrees and desserts and appetizers and things. So take a look at those, see if anything strikes your fancy. And I do definitely recommend making a reservation before you go, especially if it's going to be on a Friday or Saturday night. So you can find all of those links and the information for the Sunbird at springspodcast.com/014. Before I wrap it up for today, I do want to extend an invitation to come back tomorrow where I am going to have a special episode for you. You have been hearing the promo for Elevation Hydration at the beginning of every Colorado Springs podcast episode. And tomorrow I am actually going to have the owner and founder of Elevation Hydration, Corey Brown, on the show to talk to me about that business. And not only do we go into the business itself and of course talk about the services they provide, but we also learn more about who Corey is as a person and get to know the man behind the company that is helping Colorado Springs residents live a happier, healthier, and more hydrated life. Thank you so much for joining me today, and Corey and I will see you back here tomorrow.